Well, hello, everybody. I know it's Transformation Tuesday, and you'll be seeing this or hearing it on October 29th, 2024. We are pre recording this session because both Tara Brown and I will be in an advanced coach training, which is powerful to me. So let's take a deep breath in here before we get going here. And ask ourselves just why? Why would we even want to decide? Power of decision is what we're talking about this month. And we are paradigm shifters. We're a growing, glowing, dedicated community of change agents. We're shifting and uplifting the planet. I love it. And so now we've been doing this once again since March 2020, every Tuesday, with different topics that are uplifting and shifting the world. We're talking about real things. So, October has been The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker. We talked about indecision is a decision to fail, which really caught me off guard when I read that. Decide to be happy, decide to be creative, and decide to be healthy. And right now, for this final week in October, take a deep breath in here. We're talking about decide to love. Decide to love. And before I introduce Tara Brown, I want to read from this daily meditation, Each Day a New Beginning. It's daily meditations for women. All right? So listen up if you choose. You've got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. Then people are going to treat you better. You're going to find, yes, you will, that you're beautiful. You're as beautiful as you feel. From our friend Carol King. Act as if there's magic in behaving the way we want to be, even though we don't yet feel it. The behavior seems to lead the way. The attitude, the mental state follows. Many days we may not get up with love in our hearts for our family, our friends, our coworkers, ourselves. We may, in fact, want them to show their love for us first. But if we reach out, give love unconditionally, focus on our and others as well as our needs, love will return tenfold. And the act of loving will lift our own spirits. We will know love. We will feel love for ourselves, perhaps for the first time, and many of the other people close to us. The attitude we cultivate, whether one of love or selfishness, inferiority or superiority, will determine how the events in our lives unfold. So I love that also in A Course of Miracles, it says every act is an call for love or an act of love. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to my friend and colleague, Tara Brown. Many of you have seen her before on this, but I want you to come in here, Tara, and you have a special message about love, your own journey, your journeys of life. But come on in here and let's have a conversation.
Oh, Judy, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna grab something from behind me. Um, a special journey about love. This is a drawing, actually a watercolor made by one of these two little girls. These are my twin daughters, who recently turned 18. And yep, off to college next year. And I'm in this pivot year. I'm in this transition year between the life I've known and the life that's not yet here. And if anything has taught me how to love deeply, profoundly, day to day, every day, whether I felt like it or not, was becoming a parent. And becoming a parent wasn't an instant, easy journey. First of all, I sat on the fence. I was 37 years old before I decided intellectually that I wanted to become a mom. I would then discover I had a very large uterine fibroid. They told me the size of a small grapefruit, and they weren't sure I could ever get pregnant. I was told I had a 25% chance of ever getting pregnant, not just like one cycle, which is not unusual. And so at age, well, go at 38, almost 39, we had a little assisted reproductive therapy, ART, 1 month of hormones to kind of do a diagnosis thing, and a 200% outcome, pregnant with twins, boom. And then got pregnant. Pregnancy wasn't an easy experience. There were times when Judy and I talked about this. We're going to be real here, y'all. So there were times when I literally felt like knives were stabbing me in my abdomen and I couldn't move physically because I was in incredible pain, but I couldn't also take any painkillers because I was pregnant and I had to freeze and not move and just breathe for days. At 24 weeks gestation, I went into preterm labor and I went into bed rest. And my job became from weeks 24 until I delivered my job became to stay pregnant. They told me because of the fibroid that it was like I was carrying triplets and they hoped that I could just make it to 28 weeks, 28 weeks being the threshold of reasonable viability for kids to be able to grow up and be normal. Um, and because of some things that I did, I delivered on schedule at 37 weeks, 2 days. One child was 6 pounds, 2 ounces. The other was 5 pounds, 12 ounces. And I had doctors and nurses congratulating me in the hospital. I do not tell you that very short story to impress you with me and my journey. I tell you because I learned some things along the way. I wasn't a coach yet. This was before I was studying science of mind, any of these principles. This was before I understood the law of attraction. Um, I was just heads down and just doing the best that I could. But I did some things as an unconscious competent. And then years later, working as a coach with a client who would, after a few months of working together, she was having really great success she'd shifted her part-time business to full-time. And she came to me one day and she said, Tara, I haven't told you my real dream. Yours got really big. Right. So we're like working together like 5 months at this point. We've done vision work, we've done everything. I haven't told you my real dream. My real dream is that I want to be a mother. I've tried for 15 years, and every doctor and every nurse and every medical professional I see tells me I can't get pregnant. And I was like, okay, undaunted. Do you have the anatomy? Yes. I have a lot of believing. But my level of believing if the uterus has been removed, for example, or if there are no ovaries, my level of believing is not at the level of regeneration. There may be people that believe in that. But when she said I have the anatomy, I'm like, let's get to work. And so the work I know you're familiar with if you're in Judy's audience, we start with a vision, what you would love. And then we work to live into the vision. I love what you talked about, Judy, at the very beginning, in terms of this idea of acting as if. And so I wanna share some of the things that we did that gave her a very different result. We started working together on this in February, and she got a positive pregnancy test on Mother's Day. This is after 15 years. She would then go into fear that maybe she couldn't carry the baby because she'd miscarried before. And so we did work around that. So it's not just getting pregnant. It's not just getting that first. It's like getting pregnant, being pregnant. And what if pregnancy could be amazing, a great, wonderful experience, harmonious, loving, enjoyable, and then you can have a great parenting experience on the backside. So here's the thing. What I'm about to say might not feel like it's for you because you're not trying to be a mom. Maybe whatever happened, maybe your kids are flown and grown, your kids are born, you chose not to have kids, or whatever your journey around parenting is, the tools apply to any dream and any vision. And if you know someone that has been struggling to get pregnant, you can point them to this, right? To Judy's page and to this, because this is all about changing paradigms. So let's help these women because I've been around them. I know them and they're in incredible pain. And what I'm about to say won't be comfortable, but it can totally change their results. So one of the foundational things is that our subconscious mind, the universe, both working in concert will create whatever we pay attention to. I like to teach this, like, what if we all have our own little fairies? Think like Tinkerbell or something, or whatever your version of a fairy is. And that fairy is here to make you happy. They have one job. Their job is to make you happy. Now, they don't speak English because they work with people all around the world. So the only thing they speak is the amount of energy you put into something, the amount of attention you pay, and the energy and like the force and the emotion that you put behind something. And the more force and energy and emotion, they go, oh my God, that's going to make her happy in this case. Let's give her more. And here's the thing. So if we energize the things that we love, our vision, our dreams, oh, look, that's going to make her happy. Let's give her more. And if we energize the things we would rather not have, they don't know the difference. Oh my gosh, that's going to make her happy. Let's give her more. So, one of the first things when you're endeavoring to get pregnant and you haven't had a lot of success is to shift your thinking from all the failures to what you would love. Because a lot of people, and this is a really hard one to hear, and this is not blame. I really want anyone who's walking this path right now. This is not blame. This is actually about the power that already exists inside you and just changing the direction of where you aim it. That's all it's about. You're not doing anything wrong. We're going to change the direction of where that incredible power that you have is aimed so you can get the result that you want. So, in that light and with love, a lot of women who have been struggling to get pregnant do not want to be around pregnant women. They do not want to see the posts on Facebook that celebrate pregnancies. They don't want to be around babies. They don't want to hear about it. Now, let's go back to our little fairies. If we're really energizing, oh my God, I don't want to be around that person. I can't stand being around pregnant women. I don't want to see babies. I don't want to be babies because it brings up all the grief, heartbreak, disappointment, very real feelings that need and deserve expression. But because there's so much energy into that, what do the little fairies do? Oh, she doesn't want to be around babies. Let's give her no babies. This is the energetics, people. This isn't right or wrong or good or bad. This isn't deserving and undeserving. If you're a woman, you were born with the anatomy to bring light into form. You were made for this. I'm simply telling you how the subconscious mind in the universe works, and it works perfectly, and it works all the time, and it works its way, not your way, not my way. And let me tell you, there are times I really wish it worked my way, and it doesn't. But the power inside of you is how creative and potent and powerful a being you are that you're creating this result. And so if you change what you're looking at, your results by spiritual law must change. So I'm going to go back to my client. She had all these 15 years, right? Think people, age 25 to age 39, all her fertile years, a couple of marriages, and only failure. But she had started practicing these tools in other areas of her life and started to see success. So she was willing and open to the possibility, and she knew what she would love. She would love to have her own child. And so the first thing we did is we started creating a vision, and we started creating scaffolding image, or I call them sometimes ladder images. What would it look like to have your kid? What would it look like to hold your baby? And that might be too painful. I get that. So what would it look like to hold the hand of your toddler as they're taking those early steps? And she imagined like walking down the sidewalk, holding her child's hand and feeling the warmth, feeling the breeze of the sun the air, feeling the sun on her skin, feeling the warmth of this little hand in hers. But they're just slowly walking, down the sidewalk in her neighborhood. What might it be like to take your child to their first day at preschool or kindergarten? And you're now walking your older child in, right? And what might it be like to be at their elementary school, their high school graduation? We're going to push this further out to things that maybe there's not as much pain and disappointment associated with that you can think through. Oh, what would you see if you were holding your child's hand and as they're walking into school for the first day? You might see a classroom, you might see all decorated with all the pictures of kindergarten. You might see all the other parents and their kids getting ready to, dropping their kids off. You might see the kindergarten teacher or teachers, right? You might see your kid with their little backpack and their lunchbox in hand and walking them to their cubby. What would you hear, smell, touch, taste? This is your child. How would you feel? So we worked with images like that. And one day we were doing all this work by phone. She started to cry.
There it is, right there. Bing, the tears. We were
She
talking
started to
about that
cry,
too. And
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to keep going, but it brought to mind that, okay, um, being around the energy, right, of the mother child thing. And I'm working with the client, like, what if we went and sat in a park and watched the toddlers? And then when the feelings came up, acknowledge the feelings, not run away from them, or feeling to heal. And and then also, like, what good therapies, because I love the fact that, okay, I'm going to avoid that because it's too painful. So I think what you're saying is, like, it's what needs to be healed for that love. It's like that bridge. So
Mhm.
keep going on. Keep going here, because that's the key, isn't it? When the
Yeah.
tears come, tell me about the emotion of the tears coming. Why is that important?
So her heart opened. What happened? She would tell me later. Like I'm just on the phone, right? And I hear her crying. And y'all, if you're around me and you cry, we're good. Like I have a lot of space for that. There was nothing wrong. There was no, it was a good thing. But years later, months later, years later, she'd look back. And that was the moment where she went from thinking it could never happen for her to thinking maybe it could. Maybe it could happen. And that was all it took. She caught that her own thinking had bought into the stories of other people that it's not going to happen for me. But this dream would not give her up. 15 years. And let's put that on 25 to 40, your fertile years, all failure. She didn't quit. And so when that happened, one other thing, and this is a very, very practical thing that if this is for you, I wouldn't give this advice to somebody because their ears might not be ready to hear. They won't have the context. But for you, and you can map what I'm about to say to another part of your vision, especially if it's something that feels like it's not coming and you've struggled with it for a while. Said she had a stepdaughter. I'm like, does your stepdaughter have a doll that she doesn't really use anymore, or just a baby doll? Right? We're trying to give we want to five sensorize the experience of having the result right now. And so I asked her to get the doll, but not just that. I asked her to go to the baby section of her nearby store, superstore, grocery store. I like the superstores because they have a lot of variety, and go start smelling baby products. Because one of the things that happened while I was a mom with kids who had fussy butts, and I was always putting some new cream on them to keep them from getting diaper rash. We can talk about that another day. One day I bought A&D diaper ointment. This isn't a thing for that particular brand. But when I opened it and I smelled it, my entire body was transported back to baby. And I had a visceral head to toe baby. I felt baby, because smell is an incredible power trigger of memory.
Oh, I
So
would never have. Gosh, that's it. The smell. Yes, the
smell.
smell of the baby lotion, the smell of a newborn, the smell. It, whatever brings that. Oh, that is amazing. I had heard all the other senses, but not necessarily the smell. What genius! What genius! Keep going.
And so the exercise then is to hold a baby doll with the smell present while you're imagining holding your own child. Okay? Because we're trying to make it an experience that you're having in the now moment to repattern all that thinking into what's possible. Now, what I'm about to say is the opinion of a mother. It's not, I can't tie this back to science. What I've heard is that baby lust for most women come from holding other people's babies. I never had baby lust. You handed me a newborn before I had my own kids, and I couldn't hand it back to you fast enough. Um, but if we going with that idea, if we hold a baby and we smell and we're like we're around baby, then what if we can give our body a new message that it's time, it's safe, and that our woman's body's our own oxytocin, our own hormones, our own system. Again, not a doctor, mom's opinion here. Our own hormonal system maps to it's time for me. It's okay. It's time. Baby, welcome. This is a whole different shift, right? No longer, I don't want to be around babies to baby welcome. And I'm giving my body instead of a stress message when I look at kids. Because what do we know? Reading some book when I'm a 12-year-old about to have my period, and it said you can skip your period if you're highly stressed. So we know that stress affects a woman's menstrual cycle. I've thought about this, and if I look back at my journey of motherhood, when I was pregnant and on bed rest, I needed a really safe place to be to stay pregnant, right? And I promise you, when I had twin newborns, I wasn't the most mobile. So if you think back to like hunter gatherer days, like you're vulnerable when you're pregnant. You can't run and do all the things, especially if you're carrying more than one. And you're vulnerable when you have a newborn. And so you need to be protected. So if your body doesn't feel safe in the world, that could impact that. So shifting that by making it safe, by being around, holding the baby, feeling the smelling the smells, and just allowing yourself to relax into that with the expectation that, yes, I could. What if I could? Like, I just need you to say, what if I could? Maybe it is possible. That's enough. And then do what we do in an effort to get pregnant, keep doing it. Whether you're working with assistive reproductive therapies, where you're doing it naturally, I don't care how you're doing it, do this in conjunction with the work you're already doing to get pregnant and allow your subconscious mind to get a new message to override the old ones and say, now's the time.
Mm.
And it can be that simple. It really can be. I'm not saying it's easy. You have a lot of evidence. My client had 15 years of evidence to the contrary. So, but it can be simple.
This is absolutely so beautiful. And where my question is with people, women, everything, um, challenging their own self love and even doing the baby with themselves and with the self love and exactly what you just did. Going back to the playgrounds, imagining themselves playing on the playground and being safe,
Hmm.
going back to the smells of what they would have loved and releasing. And
Hmm.
I wanted to go back and it was that corner of your mind be opening. Maybe she wouldn't, that the traps. I mean, you oh, shut down. Oop, shut. I've worked with clients who like they get so far, shoot, oh, shut down. I'm gonna go work on something in my vision that's easier. Okay, but this I know that was the biggie. And then okay, well, what if I hold for you that I know that corner of your mind because you were with her on the journey. Can you talk about having a corner of your mind opening to the possibility?
Yeah. She, it's whatever your vision, but if, if you've been struggling with something for a long time, if you got a deep seated paradigm, a deep seated negative belief that you can't have something, as long as you believe more that you can't have it than you can have it, you're not going to take the action steps required to have it. I can look at my own life, and there are places where I've done this. And so she wanted this. I mean, this was like that burning desire, dream, lifelong hunger. And she was willing to do whatever it took. The women that have been around that have been endeavoring to get pregnant, I mean, they are going through there is a hunger there. So it's just a matter of channeling that. But we want to shift from thinking that it's not possible to shifting that, what if it were possible? What if I didn't believe it was impossible? And then from there, what if I could? Right? We're not going to start with what if I could. We want to just like, what if it's not impossible? What if it were possible? What if I could? What if it were easy? What if it were this month? Right? but we want to build our believing, because we've had negative results again and again, negative pregnancy tests, the 2 week wait, just waiting in hell, waiting to see if this was the month. Yeah, it might be really, I want you to actually really open that corner of your mind, really believe in the possibility. And so to go from it's never happened to, oh, it's going to be easy, is too big a jump. Like, what if it weren't impossible? What if it weren't impossible? Because a lot of times we'll see other people having the results we want, other women getting pregnant. How come it's so easy for her? And I've tried and tried. And don't get me wrong, I believe that you've tried and tried. I absolutely believe you. And here's the truth that I know about you, especially for the women who have no, like, what do they call it? That's, they don't know why you can't get pregnant. I'm forgetting the word. It starts with but they don't know why you can't get pregnant. Okay. So I'm going to talk to all of you. Even I had a fibroid. People have diagnoses and they get pregnant, but especially for those of you who have undetermined infertility, like they don't know why. There's no reason for it. There's no biological reason why you shouldn't. I mean, step into, what if it weren't impossible? And another tool, I'm sure it's been taught, Judy's taught it, and it can be applied here, which is the hit the pause button and wait. So I'm not saying you aren't hurt, heartbroken, disappointed, right? That's all real, legit human experience. My encouragement would be to practice making an appointment with that every day. Maybe it's a 15-minute appointment, maybe it's a 30-minute appointment. You'll know the right amount. And so let's say it's 5:30 every day of the week, if you're the one who cooks dinner, before you make dinner, I cook in my house, whatever it is, but pick a time of day. And then during the day, when as you're working with this, as the disappointment, as the fear, the doubt, the worry, nope, I'm meeting you at 5:30. And then you go back to your vision to the best of your ability, holding the baby, walking the toddler. What if I could? What if it weren't impossible? Right. And I will meet you at 5:30. Now you must keep that appointment. That is a sacred appointment. You're making that appointment with fear, disappointment, doubt, worry, discouragement, all those things. And when you show up, they get their voice. You can journal. One of my favorite things is to take a bat and beat the mattress and just cry, get the anger out, get the frustration. Another really great tool is to take both hands and push them against the wall and growl. We want to move the energy out of the body, right? We want a physical, visceral expression of the grief, so it doesn't get stuck energetically. Set a timer. I am not kidding. And when that timer's up, you stop and you say, I will be with you tomorrow. And so if say it's 5:30, at 6:00, timer stops. I'll be with you tomorrow. 6:01, the doubt starts. I will meet with you, doubt, tomorrow.
That is
And you meet with
a
doubt
great
tomorrow.
action step right there. An action of, yeah, I'm going to make a day with it. So I love the timer. And let the entire time, no matter what, oh, that's good. I've heard before, it's like we make a time, a schedule for the vision, which that's very important. But how about setting a timer and making a time for the paradigms to come up?
Yeah.
And making sure that you stop it at the end when it dings off.
Yep.
And for me, gosh, I journal all the time too, and I'll journal like if I have done that one little timer, I'll put that as a win for my day. I allowed myself to grieve. I'm having many of my clients are in a grieving process right now, as I feel the world is a lot out there. Let's set a timer, allow ourselves to grieve for a certain amount of time. Boom. Okay. And then go on. And then the
Yeah.
next day, go on. And just do an experiment with that.
Yeah.
It's an
The power.
experiment with, carrying the diapers. I've had people like, here, go carry the diaper around, and here, go smell this. And also, I feel too that it's important to have people who believe in you around.
Absolutely. Or at least not have people that don't believe in you. So like, let's take the naysayers and we don't talk to them about it, right? We just don't talk to them about it. I want to go back real quick though, because something is percolating. When you make that appointment and you spend that 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, as Judy was talking about, you want to have what enlightened beings call a complete experience. So you want to give yourself fully over to the express. You want to fully feel the grief. You don't want to just like hold back. This is grief, wailing, gnashing, thrashing, letting it full expression. And after a while, you're not going to do it every day. You won't need it. So you do it every other day. And then maybe every third day. And then maybe once a week. And maybe once every 2 weeks. You'll find that rhythm as it heals, as it gets its expression. You won't need it every day. So I just want to make sure I said that, because you want to give it full expression, all the brakes off. Boom. Yelling into a pillow is another favorite one because it doesn't disturb the neighbors, but you can scream your lungs out. So that I just wanted to make sure I said that.
So I want to kind of go like this and like, whoop, okay, imagine a world of next generations, the generations of your twins right now, and their children, with that burning desire, knowing that they were fully desired and fully loved. Imagine that.
Yeah.
That's the vision
Yeah.
of having that whole full, because decide for love. That's what this whole this that's what the whole thing's about.
Right.
It's making a decision, and then the tools do. And what if we all birthed each other, and as well as the generations to come, and that it could be your twins, it could be mine. I'm the grandma of the group here. I feel like I've been the nana to so many babies, surrogate nana, whatever you want to call it. But I
Get
was
you.
so thrilled when those babies popped up, because
Yeah.
you know why? They have parents that are truly committed to them and
Yeah.
love them unconditionally, which that to me is what this whole thing is about.
And there's so much to say about that. Like, I'm glad you brought it back full circle to love, because I thought I knew what love is. And then I had two babies at once. And I loved each one with 100% of my heart. Like, it wasn't like I loved one with 50% and the other to add up to 100. I'm a math person. So just that's how I roll. No, what surprised me, like all of me loved each of them with all of me. Like the capacity to love, just huge, hugely. And then there was raising them and parenting. And I was actually on my Rolfers table this morning and we're talking about parenting. And he said something about how I was lucky about how my kids turned out, because he has another client who had some life circumstances and her kids didn't turn out quite the same way. And I was like, Benjamin Franklin said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Like, people don't understand. I got trained as a parent educator. I took parenting classes. I got support. I took parenting as seriously as my career, and I invested to learn to learn what children's emotions mean, how they work, what different cries mean. Like, did you know that if a child is crying and their lips are shaking, it's fear that's coming out? Like, those kind of subtle things I learned about kids, so that when my child is thrashing around on the floor having a tantrum, I learned how to listen in a way that let that to be a healing experience in the presence of love, so that she could get up and move forward in life, because she had just emptied her emotional backpack. And circling back to love, one of the things that was so interesting is one of the things that I learned in this parenting work was to listen to another parent while they expressed all the fear, the doubt, the hurt, the challenge of parenting, because parenting is highly emotional work. But from this place of seeing them as good and as loving, and they're just offloading the hurt. I'd been in therapy, and being in therapy was really different with the many of the therapists that I tried out. Notice I didn't stick with them, because I walked in feeling like I was being diagnosed and I was being looked at with what's wrong with me. It's a really different experience to look at someone as good, as whole, as loving, no matter what's coming out of their mouth, this was a sacred container, right? And while they're talking about what was hard about parenting, while they're talking about what hurt, and that investment for 10 years, once a week, like didn't just happen. Like these kids turning out as well as they have didn't just happen. It wasn't luck. It was a lot of work, but that work was because I love them with all of me. And to your point, back to what you said, I knew that as an older mom, I deliberately chose to have them. I deliberately chose to have them later. Look at me choke up. Deliberately, I chose to have, and I was investing in them. That was my commitment to bringing them into this world. And it's it's been the best role, the best job. I mean, my heart just opens when I think about just my teenagers, my 18-year-olds will come over because they'll be over in a couple hours. And the first thing they're going to do is come and give me the biggest hug and just connect. 18-year-old girls. You don't hear that story very often. They still are close. They want to go and do their life and go move out of state and go to college and individuate the things they need to do. But they're not afraid of being close and feeling loved and being loved. It's the best.
Oh, this is so beautiful. Decide to be loved.
Decide it.
That's
And
it.
then act as if the love will show it will unfold for you along the way. When you're faced with a difficult decision anywhere in life, what would love do? It sounds cliche, but if you really slow down and go, okay, if I were being loving here, what would I do? And sometimes that's loving of self. Sometimes it means I'm not going to have the glass of wine. I'm not going to eat the cake. Yes, I'm going to get up in the morning and do the exercise, even though I don't want to. Yes, I'm going to go to bed now. It might be, it's self-love is included in this, right? All of this, if we go back to vision, the vision of wanting to be a mom is something, what would you love? Is that you would love it. It is a loving act towards self as well as a loving act towards others.
Oh, this is so beautiful, Clown. Thank you so much.
Oh.
I know this is so perfect for right now. So, what I want to ask, let's take a deep breath in here, and boy, so many nuggets there. What would you love for us, our community, to hold for you, Tara, as you're as those 18-year-olds go and you're in another phase of your life? What would you love? What would you love to have us hold for you?
So I'm going to read something because this is where I'm at right now. And it's from this book called The Pivot Year, which I'm finding kind of magical. And it's by Brianna Weiss. And she writes, the space between no longer and not yet is what defines the pivot periods of our lives. The space between no longer and not yet. So that's where I am right now with my kids. No longer the little ones I need to tend to all the time, not yet out of the house. And I'm endeavoring to figure out what I would love the next phase of my life, because I'm discovering that when I have a lot of free time, I don't know, because it's been in service of others. So, yeah.
This is so perfect. All right, well, here we go. We're going to put a wave of energy for you for all of the beautiful insights that you've just you just dropped on all of us, and perhaps helping us think in a different way. And seeing you in this in between time, the pivotal time, really loving it. Okay, here you go. Got it?
Mm.
Thank you so much. And I know this is going to help so many people unlock that potential and to decide to love.
Mm. Can I throw one more thing out there?
Sure, yeah, sure.
I have started an Instagram channel which has just 2 baby videos in it, Awaken Your Fertility. So if people want to support that, it would help me. And it's 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 a growth move to put myself out there and talk about these ideas. This is a very safe space with you, Judy, and with your audience, but to put it out in the public. So
You
if
also have
anyone
a
just
book, don't you?
called Awaken Your Fertility. It's a Kindle. It's a Kindle book. I've made it very affordable at $2.99 so that it's in anybody's reach. And it talks about the steps that I did, the steps that my clients have done to go from being infertile, well, thinking seemingly infertile, because that's of course not the truth of them, to being fertile and realizing it.
And so it is. And so we let it be. Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judy.